Yo. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Hacking Health Podcast. I'm your host, Ben Canning, with Dave Kennedy. Yo. Welcome back to the show. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, everybody. Welcome to 2025. This is the first podcast of 2025.
It is indeed. Dave and I are, we'll just get straight in. Well, no, okay. How are you?
No, we should get straight into it.
Just straight into it? Okay. Dave and I are fasting. I am at, where are we? Just over 22 hours.
Does it get any better, by the way, at 22 hours? Because right now I'm really hungry.
I don't feel like it's been bad at all.
Okay, I'm at 18 hours right now, and I could definitely go for some Taco Bell. So
No, truthfully, I don't feel bad. I haven't really thought about food. I did have a dream last night, though, that I woke up and had breakfast and had forgot.
Me too. I had a dream that I ate some steak and I broke the fast on accident. And I was like, no. And I woke up like, okay, it was just a dream.
There have been a couple of times that have been, I've just been sat there and work all day and haven't really thought about it. But I felt good all day. There have been a couple of times I've walked into the kitchen and I'm like, oh yeah, no, I can't eat anything. So I think the biggest thing is the habit of just going to get something. I will say, I quite look forward to food all day. Like I look forward to, okay, right, I'm going to eat this thing and I'm going to eat my dinner. I've been a little bit sad today that I'm not looking forward to food. Like I'm not looking forward to food until Wednesday night, which is so far away.
It is so far away. It's funny because last night I got back from the Cavs game with Aaron, and I knew I was on a fast. I stopped eating at the Cavs game, so I had my last dinner at 7:00 at night. And so at 7, that's the time I started the clock. And, and so I went home and I'm like, oh, cool. It's nighttime. I can go get some food real quick. And I started walking to the kitchen. I'm like, oh, wait, no, what are you doing? You're not allowed to eat anything right now. And so, and then this morning, I'll tell you though, this morning it felt normal. Like I was like, okay, I'm not obviously going to eat anything. I went to Orange Theory. First time I'm going to, mention that name today. And went to Orange Theory, did fasted cardio, went very good. And came home, showered, and I've been fine ever since. I'll just tell you though, I'm definitely hungry. So, but it's not bad. But this is only day one, huh?
It's lunchtime there.
Yeah, it's 1:00 right now.
Yeah. So I think the biggest thing that I've noticed in the past is when habitually the time that you normally eat, your body has a hunger signal because it's used to eating at that time.
Yeah.
I've just been drinking water. So I haven't really thought about it today, but I know at the times that you usually eat, you will feed that hunger. It's not a I'm hungry. It's a body of I usually eat at this time. What the fuck's going on?
Yeah, exactly. In the mornings, I don't usually eat when I'm doing Orange Theory, so I usually don't have a lot of stuff in my stomach. And I will say though, what was interesting yesterday. So I eat usually late at night, and I've watched. Dr. Rhonda Patrick had a sleep protocol podcast recently. She said that you shouldn't be eating 3 to 4 hours before you go to bed, because your body basically is winding down, and then when you eat, your digestive system ramps up. It has energy production, and it's harder to sleep, and you don't get as good of a sleep. So I would say last night is probably the first night that I haven't eaten, probably at 8 or 9 or 10 o'clock at night. I'm usually trying to get my protein in at the very end too. I might be down maybe 40, 50 grams of protein or something like that. So I'll do a protein shake, or I'll do some, Greek yogurt, or I'll do mac and cheese protein, which is, by the way, I when you get here to try this, it's microwavable mac and cheese protein. It's amazing.
America,
20 grams of protein, 350 calories. It's got a good balance of carbs in it too. It's a great snack if you need it. But anyways, I didn't eat anything last night, and I had the most crazy dreams that I've ever had. And I was talking in my sleep to where Aaron's like, hey, you're talking in your sleep. I never talk in my sleep. I was fighting some ogre or something with a battle axe in the middle of my dream. I don't know what was going on, but I was screaming in the middle of the night. And Aaron's like, you're talking in your sleep. I'm like, oh, okay, that's weird. I don't ever do that. So maybe I had a good night's sleep because I didn't eat. I'll have to try that more often.
True. No, but generally I feel good. I'm looking forward to seeing how it goes. I know from previous experience, I've done 36-hour fasting quite a bit. So today would have been that day, and then usually tomorrow morning is the time that I eat. So I think tomorrow will be a completely different story.
Yeah.
But I guess we should talk about why we're doing it instead of just we're doing it, because a couple of people did ask on Twitter.
Yeah, and there was some good discussion on it too. And I think fasting gets a bad rap because there's been so much information out there. We've talked about this sometimes in the podcast about fad diets, right? And intermittent fasting came out as one of those fad diets for a lot of people. And I'm not saying it's a bad way of doing things. You know, based on what we know from data studies, if you have what are called feeding windows, so you eat only during a certain period of time. So a lot of people will only eat during, let's just say, like noon and 3, or like a 3-hour feeding window or a 4-hour feeding window, where during that period of time you're trying to eat as much calories as you can that you need to, but you don't eat the rest of the day. You don't eat at night. You don't eat in the morning. And you only have a certain amount of time that you eat. And what the studies have shown is that that doesn't really have any major benefit as far as weight loss is concerned, because it's still, at the end of the day, calories in, calories out. And your body can, if you eat 4,000 calories in a 3-hour time window, well, your body's going to use those 4,000 calories, right? So there's no benefit of fasting from a weight loss perspective. However, there is a lot of benefits of fasting, more so in the 24 to 48 hour to 72 hour period, where you start to reap a lot of benefits of fasting. And again, I'm not saying from a weight loss perspective. I mean, we will drop weight. I'm actually the lowest I've been since I started this bulk. I woke up this morning and I was at 241. I'm like, shit.
I was 220. So I'm interested to see what the Thursday morning maybe was going to be.
Yeah, me too. But what the studies have shown is that there's some extreme benefits to longevity. So one thing that we know is that there's 2 things in life that we know of today that can increase your lifespan. One is working out. Cardiovascular and resistance training will increase your lifespan. Keeping muscle mass on, those types of things will increase lifespan. And 2, caloric restrictions. Caloric restrictions being you're eating less calories than you typically consume, you will live longer. Okay. But with fasting, what ends up happening is that we talked about the reasons why fasting, they don't die when you fast. If our bodies were like, hey, we don't have any food, we need to shut down. Well, we wouldn't be able to go out and forage food or kill, an animal to get the food, or to plant, vegetables and things like that to get the things that are nutrients that we need. So what our body does is it says, oh crap, you haven't eaten yet. We need to convert the process of carbohydrates, fats, things like that to ketones. And your body produces ketones, which allow you to convert fat stores to energy very quickly and not burning carbohydrates and things like that. Now, what ends up happening, though, is that your body goes through a really cool process called autophagy. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Autophagy. And it basically starts to clean up bad cells in your body. It removes the weak cells in your body. For one, the highest consuming cells in your body, which cancer is the highest consuming cell in your body. So they've actually shown in data studies that if you couple like radiation therapy, like chemotherapy, with fasting, the chances of that cancer reducing extremely goes up with success, because your body's removing the high energy cells. And what the current line of thinking is in the medical field studies is that if you fast for 72 hours, which seems to be the kind of magic number that everybody's throwing around, it's kind of like the 10,000 steps thing. If you fast for 72 hours once a year, you reduce your chances of cancer substantially. Now, they don't know the exact amount of that, but some doctors, again, you get wide spectrums on all sides that are like, hey, if you do 3 days fast once a year, you'll never die of cancer. And then you have the other ones that are like, well, hey, it's probably more like a reduction of like 40 to 50%. I'm sure there's a middle ground there somewhere. And the studies haven't done any long-term studies of those. But one, cancer reduction, but also it removes all of kind of the bad cells. It's a huge potent antioxidant in your body. It balances your LDL and HDL cholesterol levels. It increases insulin sensitivity, which is what you want. And so there's just a lot of great benefits: cardiovascular health, heart health, all of that stuff starts to come through during fasting. So it's a really awesome thing for your body to go through every so often. And this is the first time I've gone through a 72 hour. I've done a 32 hour fast before, right? And then after that, I've never done anything past that. So this will be over double of what I've done before in the past. And so, we're just trying it out. It's a challenge. But it has a lot of health benefits to it that I think are really important for folks to understand that, hey, if cancer is something that you're concerned with, it's a concern of mine, like, hey, I'm healthy. Obviously I work out a lot. I eat great food, and I try to do everything I possibly can to reduce the chances of cancer, but you never know. You have perfectly healthy people that end up getting cancer and passing away. And if there are things that we can do to live longer, I'm going to go and try those. And the data seems to be pretty awesome on mechanistically why this works, because it literally targets your highest producing cells that are acting abnormal. Your body has a kind of a regulation system on cells, on what it should be using from an ATP perspective in your mitochondria, the energy levels of your cells. And cancer exhibits a much higher level of that. So your body basically starts neutralizing and nuking all of your cancer cells in your body under those certain periods of time. So it's really neat how it goes through and does all that, kind of cleanses your system, your body. Plus, there's brain benefits. Your body goes in like high gear mode, because you need to, again, forage for food, get food. So you have to be mentally acute and sharp. So your brain activity goes up in nature. So it's a really cool thing, I think, overall from a health perspective of what you can do with it.
Yeah, I think, again, from previous experience, I did, wait from about 3 months, maybe longer. I did 1 36-hour fast per week. And I always find so I used to eat dinner on a Tuesday and not eat again until Thursday morning. On Wednesday afternoon, I was so dialed into whatever I was doing in terms of work. And I think that if you think about what actually happens whenever you eat food, your body obviously needs to use energy to digest the food. So obviously it has the additional energy that you're not using from digested foods available in terms of like cognitive function and everything else. So that's one of my favorite benefits of fasting, is actually just being able to be a little bit more focused and get some more stuff done. Back to your conversation about intermittent fasting. Yes, I agree it's a fad, and yes, I don't necessarily think that it's the benefits are what people make them out to be. I think it is beneficial to people who understand that they, like, example, whenever I used to coach on the gym floor, I used to always look at my schedule. I used to start at 6, and if I didn't have a break until like 1 o'clock, I wouldn't have eaten breakfast. If I did have a break, then I would have had breakfast and then had my food at like 10 or whatever the time was. The reason being is because as you eat, your body starts to process and digest food, which obviously burns energy, which obviously in turn makes you more hungry. So I would have found that if I had got to like 11 o'clock and I was with a client, I'd have been useless. Like I just would have been like thinking about food and unable to like actually concentrate on the session. And I think the benefits come is if you can use not eating breakfast, for example, as a tool to reduce your overall calories on a daily or a weekly basis.
Absolutely.
That's where the benefit comes. It's not necessarily anything about the science or there's some sort of magic about time. It's just a case of you're eliminating 5, 6, 7,
it's what works for you,
calories.
right?
Yeah.
It's what works for you. And a lot of people have a lot of great success with intermittent fasting, because it's just like the system that you have, Ben, for putting people into how many calories you can eat, calorie counting, those like that. It's a system that you can be put into, and if that system works for you, then it's highly beneficial. And it's a great framework, by the way, because you literally probably can't eat. Maybe you can, but you probably can't eat 4,000 calories. Challenge accepted. But so you probably will be in a caloric deficit if you're only doing a 3-hour feeding window or a 6-hour feeding window, or whatever that ends up being. So I'm not saying you shouldn't be looking at intermittent fasting as a way to help with the weight loss components of things, or to put you into a framework that you can follow, that you're methodical with, that you're successful with, that brings you to success. You just got to realize it's not like, when the whole keto thing was coming out and, all this other stuff, they're like, oh, keto is superior to everything else because, it burns more fat. Well, yeah, technically it burns fat, but it's still calories in versus calories out. If you're still eating a bunch of food that's going to get converted to fat, it's still got to burn that fat. It's still got to use that fat. It's going to use all the fat that you eat. So there's no additional thermogenic activity that happens during those periods of time. But again, frameworks, again, if keto works for you and you can just eat, meat all day long, meats and cheeses, fantastic. I tried it. I love meat and cheeses. I got sick of it like in month 2. I'm like, I can't eat any more meat and cheases. I need like breads and things like that. Like I can't handle this anymore.
You just want to eat a bagel? Give me a bagel. You want a fucking bagel?
Some hot oatmeal.
No, not hot. But I think that, again, talking about frameworks and what works for you, the reason that I initially started was I had a very short timeline to prep for a photo shoot, and I spoke to Callum that was coaching me at the time, and we basically just took a full day's calories out. And it's the same thing as doing that, whether you do it on a daily basis and you take, again, like I said, breakfast out, you take that out, and then it reduces your total weekly consumption. So whatever way you look at it, you're still reducing your overall consumption, whether it's taking a meal out a day or taking a day's worth of food out. And it gives you that sort of freedom and flexibility to not be in that lower calorie bracket on a daily basis if you take it out in that way. But again, it's just rules to follow. I mean, if you know that you eat between 12 o'clock and 8 o'clock, and that's the window that you eat at, and that's how you can stay within your calories, that's cool. I'm not going to tell you otherwise.
Yeah. And two additional added benefits that I didn't mention. You'd mentioned you hit on the surface of it, which is the immune system, or giving your digestive tract time to relax and not have to continuously be working overtime all the time on it. Allows your body to kind of recover, regroup, and give your digestive system a whole new, kind of break and relax and everything else, which allows you to be more efficient as you're eating food again. Also, it boosts your immune system substantially. So you'll see a massive increase in immune system performance. So, getting sick, things like that, usually not happening during those fasts, which is great. So, again, a lot of great benefits to it. And, so far so good, 17 hours in, I'm doing fine. Again,
I had the group call earlier on, and Sarah asked me how it was going. I was like, I feel fine, but I'm only 28% of the way there. So like I still have a long way to go. But no, I'm interested to see. I think that my next couple of days will be thinking, okay, right, what is my first meal going to be? Like I'll be building that out in my head over and over and over again.
I already got mine.
Okay,
I already got mine.
Go.
It's gonna be steak, rice, and broccoli. I know that sounds super simple, but like I love steak, I love rice, and I love broccoli. So like those three things to me are like the perfect meal that I would eat, and probably some bread. Like some wheat bread with some butter on it, and some salt. Perfect.
Cool. I haven't established mine yet, so I will let you know. And actually, I'll tell you this. I wasn't going to say, but so the fast finishes at 8:00. Mine does finish at 8:00 on Wednesday. I might wait until Thursday morning, so I might push it an additional 12 hours, which will take me to 84.
All right. Well, good luck with you. We'll see how I'm feeling at that point in time. I'm probably going to
that's right. I've said it now and it's on the internet, but like we'll see how it happens at the time. Tune in on Wednesday to find out how I'm getting on, because we'll record on Wednesday and I might be a little worse for wear.
Yeah. Well, so on the topic of fasting, this is something new that we're trying here. Well, obviously we've done fasting before, but doing a challenge, I think is important, right? One, you have somebody that's committed with you in it, that's got the same interests, and I think that helps out a lot. I'm not going to let Ben beat me in any way, shape, or form, so I have to do this, or else I'd probably be eating right now, to be honest with you.
People are asking me, why are you doing it? And I was like, well, Dia said he was going to do it, and I wasn't going to let him do it by himself. Like I hadn't planned. It was like, you mentioned it. I was like, okay, I'll do it with you. So that is my reason for it. But I agree, having someone there, because there are, like, I would kind of imagine that there will be times I'm like, nah, I'm not in for this, but I'll think, well, Dia's doing it, so
yeah. Well, so it's a competition, but also those types of challenges can go a long way in your success. So, like, the program that you're coming out with this year, the new program, right? Is it a 3-month challenge, right?
8 weeks.
8 weeks. Yeah, sorry, 2-month challenge that you go through. And, it's a commitment to yourself to go through those. And I think, starting off the fresh, 2025 here, we wanted to kind of have a little bit more discussion on, why the basics work and going to kind of your roots and then going from there. And it's interesting. I'll relate it to my training blocks that I'm doing right now with you. Right. When I first started off lifting, Ben has always programmed my lifting criteria, but I've always asked Ben for more. And I've done a lot of volume, a lot of strength, things like that, development over time. And what I'm realizing now is I'm getting a lot more value with less in the type of movements and exercises. I don't need to do 12 to 15 sets, per muscle group, a workout session. Really more around 8 to 9 is perfect. And you get the value of and benefits that you would, anything else. And Dr. Lane Norton, BioLane, they just did a study. One of his cohorts did a study, and they actually did hypertrophy training with set ranges, and they had experienced lifters that were doing this over a span of a period of time, and they looked at like the diminishing return aspect of things, and what they saw was that between 10 sets and 20 sets is the perfect range of sets before you start getting into that kind of diminishing return area, where you still grow a little bit, but it's so minuscule in nature that you're probably doing more damage to your body's ability to repair faster than anything else. And so doing less actually means a lot. And so, I challenge folks to take a look at what you're doing today and to say, hey, is there things that I can do that I can change up or do differently that will help me be successful in, this year being, with your goals and everything else. I saw a picture of somebody, and I can't remember the individual offhand, but, he had a picture of before, it was like a 2024 picture and a 2025 picture, right? And he said, I don't notice any difference. I'm gonna have to push it harder next year. And that's my biggest fear, right? Is going into next year and saying, I don't notice a difference between previous years to this year on my progress and training. And so we have to look at what we're doing and say, listen, sometimes going back to the basics and doing things from the ground up, and starting for things that actually worked. And you and I had this conversation, was it last week or the week before? We were on a call talking back and forth, and you were talking about how you were going to go, back to, a specific trainer because that trainer you've always had a lot of success with. And you just go back to a known quantity of things that work. And we've tried a lot of other things. We grabbed a lot of knowledge, but what has been the most successful for you to get into a regimen, to be continuous with it, to be repetitive with it, that allows you to, hit the gym or to, eat appropriately to get, your body the nourishment it needs, but to get the desired results that you want to. And so I think for 2025, for me, it's going to be going back to basics and looking at, my whole program overall, obviously with you, and what I need to do to, hit the next level for next year. And I will say, like right now with this current surplus cycle, I'm the strongest that I've ever been. I just did 505 for 7, which I've never hit before, which means I'm well past the 600 deadlift mark at this point in time. I haven't attempted it yet because I don't want to break my back, but I won't break my back. But I just we'll see. We're gonna wait until the lift to see if I can get it. But
you need a hype man.
I definitely need a hype train. Yeah. We're getting there. We're close. But it's great because I'm the strongest I've ever been, but I've actually been doing a lot less volume than I've ever done before. A lot less sets, I should say, that I've done before. And that has been very good for me. So just reevaluating what I'm doing and going back to what I did really well. And I think that has a big impact on, kind of making sure that you're successful moving into next year.
Yeah, I think the thing, people often overlook the basics because they think it can't be that simple. Like if someone who has struggled with your weight for 20 years and someone tells you that these are only the things that you need to do, you're almost like, well, that sounds too easy. Like if it had been that easy, I would have done it before. And I actually had this conversation with Justin a few times that when people sort of ask him what he's done and why he's had the success, and he tells them, they're like, they almost are in disbelief of like, well, that doesn't, it doesn't sound that difficult. I think the thing about it is the basics are simple. The process is simple, and people try and overcomplicate it. And like yourself, you've always wanted to do more because sometimes you felt, well, okay, if I'm getting these great results and I feel this way with this amount that I'm doing, if I do more, surely that's going to be better and I'm going to get more. But I think, like you said, it's more with training, with cardio, with your nutrition. It's more the quality of the stuff that you're doing versus the quantity. So if you can do 10 really quality sets versus 20 mediocre sets, you're going to get much more from those 10 really quality sets. So taking it right back to that, and I think probably one of the biggest things that I see people struggle with or complain about is time. So it's like if you're trying to pack 6 sessions in a week and you're doing, they're an hour and a half long, like it's unrealistic. Whereas if you go, right, like I can do 4 or 3 or whatever, and they take 45 minutes to an hour. And again, it's something that I had to reevaluate myself. Like I think I was just in the habit of training for an hour and a half or 2 hours whenever I worked in the gym because I was in a gym all day. I realize I'm in a gym all day now, but it's a different setup. Because I was there all day and it was the only thing that I really had to do. And then whenever I sort of moved away from that and had less time, I was like, I can't fit these sessions in. And I got to the point where I was like avoiding the sessions because I just don't have the time. And that's the only way that I knew how to do things. So reevaluating and taking it, like you said, right back to basics in terms of the training. It does not need to be overcomplicated. And if you sort of look at your week and your sessions, how many sessions you have, how many sets you need to get per muscle group, and just divide it across those sets, or divide the sets across the sessions, that's your recipe for success.
And what they did show in those studies too is that the more frequent that you can hit those muscle groups, the more growth you will receive. So for example, let's just say you hit chest 3 times a week. That was far superior than hitting chest twice a week, right? Versus 1 time a week, right? So the more muscle stimulus you can get, but even on the lower set range. So let's just say you did, 4 sets on a Monday, you did 4 sets, on a Wednesday, and you did 4 sets on a Saturday of chest, or Thursday or whatever. You would experience more growth on those sets in comparison to somebody that only did it twice but did more sets during that week. Mm-hmm. So it's interesting how our bodies work to that stimulus, right? It knows that, hey, I'm under heavy load right now. That total volume is the same for the week, but you spread that signal of muscle growth throughout that week longer, you have more chance to build more muscle during those periods of time. So it's interesting how, the stimulus is really important for that body, which goes to show you, being active every day is really important to send your body that stimulus of, hey, I'm active, I'm moving around, whether it's just getting steps in or doing cardio, or whether it's just doing something active like airsoft, for example. If anybody wants to come to airsoft, let me know. I had a killer weekend, by the way. I went Friday and Saturday, and
I thought we spoke about not going 2 days in a row. We spoke about this on the podcast.
But so I had to I had to help the kids out because Mason could only go on Friday and Gavin could only go on Saturday, and so I had to switch. I had to do two different. Poor me crying. Do airsoft twice in a row. But there's this. I guess I could say this one story really quick. So I got this grenade launcher. And it shoots 200 BBs at once. It's got tracers in it, so it shoots a UV light that shoots 200 BBs at once, and it's like a spray of BBs, right? So you get 200 BBs that are spraying the area, and this one doesn't actually hurt. Like if you're getting hit with 200 BBs from an airsoft gun, you would be really pissed because like it hurts like hell. And but this is like a lower velocity, so it's more of like a shotgun burst, type of thing. But it sprays BBs in a wide direction. And I flanked this corner, and there was these 6 guys with their backs turned to me right there. And I shot them all, and it killed all 6 of them with a one grenade launch. And I went back really quick and I reloaded. And there's this guy, Ryan, who's a good buddy of mine over there I play with all the time. He's awesome. I see Ryan like peek around the corner, but he can't see me because I'm kind of tucked away to the side. And he goes around the corner. I'm right there, like right as, like 5 feet from him. And I blast him with the grenade launcher. We just start busting out laughing, like just dying. Like we had to stop playing the game for like 5 minutes because we're just laughing our asses off. So good times. But, but again, being active is really important. And, I enjoy the cardio work, doing the HIIT training Monday and Wednesday, and then, doing the airsoft stuff on the weekends with the kids. So I try to stay as active as possible throughout the days. And it's really difficult now because right now we're under massive, by the way, bring lots of cold weather gear with you. It's cold here.
Shorts. I'll be wearing shorts.
Yeah, definitely shorts. But lots of snow, it's hard to get outside and go and get your walks in and your steps in. So, figure out other ways of being active, during the winter time frames. Make sure you're getting ample amounts of vitamin D as well. But still, it's one of those things that as long as you're being active frequently, your chances of living longer, your probability of being healthier, your mind working better, all of those things come into play as you're going through and doing it. And again, it's all just going back to the basics and just moving around.
But I think to your point, yes, okay, I know that you maybe extend it a little bit too far with the airsoft, but that's just you as a person. But I think finding something you can enjoy, do you know what I mean? Like I don't imagine you see that as like, oh, I'm going to do exercise. Do you know what I mean? But the amount of output that you have and the amount of calories that you burn during that, like it definitely can count towards your total overall expenditure across the week. So like finding something that you enjoy doing that can count as exercise that isn't necessarily just sitting on a fucking elliptical machine.
Yep. Yeah, total. Sorry, I spaced out for a second there. What'd you say?
It will account towards your total expenditure for the week by just going to airsoft. Like you're doing something that's fun, but you don't see it as you're going to do exercise.
No, and that's the thing that I had. Remember when I was losing weight and I couldn't figure out why, and I was like, I didn't account for burning like 1,500 calories, when I'm actually going and doing it. But it's just a ton of fun, Like if you ever listen to my videos, I post my YouTube videos of me doing airsoft, and you'll hear me just breathing really heavy because I got all this.
It's just videos of you shooting people and breathing heavy in the background.
That's literally it. Like literally, you can hear me go. Like I'm just dying at the thing here, but like I didn't realize how intense that really was. I mean, for one, you're in a tactical situation, right? So your adrenaline is amped up. So you're focused to crazy. If you go around the wrong corner, you're gonna get blasted and it's gonna hurt. So your mind is like, hey, I don't want to get hurt. So it ramps itself up, to be as good as you possibly can be at it. And then, I'm a very aggressive player. I don't like sit back and, pick people off and, do things. I'm up in the fight, like that, I'm charging doors. I'm going through corners. I'm busting through grenades. Like, that's just how I work. And so like, if you hear my videos, you see me like, when we start off at our spawn, I'm sprinting to get to a specific like vantage point that I can, take out some of the team that's coming in from the other side. And, that has a big impact because one, I'm carrying probably 50 pounds of gear on me, and, I'm carrying a rifle, I'm carrying a flak jacket, I got grenades on me, I got extra ammo, I'm dressed, with long sleeves. So it's already hot in there because, I have long sleeves. So I don't want to, tear up my arms. And so, I didn't realize how big of an activity that was, but I was, monitoring my calories and what I was losing. And it was about 1,500 calories that I was burning at airsoft, and I'd go from 10 to 5. So you're there for, 7 hours running around. And on Saturday, I totally forgot to even eat. Saturday, I realized that, I had a breakfast in the morning, and then I went and I played all day, and I got back at 5. I'm like, oh, I didn't even eat the rest of the day. Like, I probably need to get some calories in me here. So, it's one of those things where I did have a protein shake in between, but it's one of those things where doing things that are fun for you, that you enjoy doing, scuba diving, those types of activities can be a huge thing for you to get into, to have fun with. Pickleball. I know a lot of gentlemen in their 30s and above love pickleball, and that's actively going around. There's a lot of pickleball places here. I don't know if pickleball is big where you're at, but it's massive.
No, not
here.
yet, but it's coming. I have noticed the trend increasing. The more and more people
God.
that
Everybody I know plays pickleball. Like I'm staying away from it. It seems like a cult. But it seems like it's a pickleball cult. My dad's all into it. He's got all these specialized paddles and all this other stuff. And he's got a trainer now. He's doing pickleball training with pickleball experts. I'm like, okay, well, this yeah, good for you, man. I'm glad my dad's out being active. So, and the fact that my dad can be there, he's in his 60s, and he can be out there playing airsoft with us is amazing. So I hope I can do the same thing too. So again, it's all about just staying active, moving around, and also going back to things that work for you. And if you haven't found that thing that works for you, that's really where you could use some help, like a trainer, like the stuff that's going on with Ben's 8-week program, getting you into a framework to allow you to find something that actually works for you, to allow you to be able to be successful. I had a friend text me over the weekend and was asking about the program because he uses Jeff Nippard's stuff online. He's wondering what are the differences and things like that. And I said, well, listen, anybody can go and download I've done Nippard's programs, are great. Anybody can go and download an Excel spreadsheet and work through those consistently. But you have somebody there that's looking at your schedule, that's looking at what you do every day, your lifestyle habits, what works for you, what doesn't work for you, your job load, everything else, and then builds that into a package that works for your type of life situation. You're not going to get that from an Excel spreadsheet, right? And being able to figure out what works in your life, I think, is really important.
Yeah, and we had so it doesn't actually start until the 13th, but I've started to put everybody into Discord, and we had a call today, and there's 46 people in, and it was cool to just sort of get a bit of an insight as to what people's expectations were. And I think the sort of general consensus from me is I want this to be an education around the basics. Each week will be something different. So this week is just about collecting the data, collecting how much food you eat, how many steps you do, and whatever. Next week we'll move into a little bit more nutrition, then we'll move into the training side of things. We'll do some mobility stuff, we'll talk about sleep, we'll talk about stress management, we'll talk about when you fall off, because everybody's hyped at the minute because it's the first week and they're fucking buzzing about everything, and that's cool. But 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks in, people will start their energy will start to dip, or the life will get in the way or whatever. So it's about how do you navigate that as well, and not just the sort of managing the good times. So I'm excited to see what comes of it. And it's cool. It's a cool group of people, some familiar faces and some people who I've spoken to in the past. So it's cool to get actually working with them. But yeah, for me, it's coaching in general is an education thing. It's not, like you said, an Excel spreadsheet. It's someone who can look at you as a person, look at your lifestyle, your commitments, your job, your family, whatever it is, and go, right, it would be cool to be able to train, 7 days a week for 2 hours a day and not have to do anything else and live the life that I lived when I was 26, 27.
Yeah.
But it's not realistic for everybody, and sometimes it's just a case of, okay, right, I only have 2 40-minute slots. How do I make that work? How do I balance my calories? I struggle with sleep. I have back pain. I'm exhausted throughout work. I can't focus whenever I'm on work. All those things are the things that an Excel spreadsheet can't handle.
100%. So TLDR from this episode: 1, give a 72-hour, or even let's go 2 weeks. 2 weeks fasting. Just kidding.
I would recommend start with 24 hours.
Yes.
I know you and I are stubborn, probably is the best way to put it. I will say though, just given the time difference, if I do decide to eat on Wednesday, I will eat before you, and I will definitely be I'll just FaceTime you and eat my dinner. But I recommend starting a short period of time, try 24 hours or 36 hours first, just to get a feeling for it. I sort of know what to expect, and I'll obviously move into uncharted territory from tomorrow.
Yep. So and then last thing is moving back to the basics, right? What has worked for you in the past? Look at that and do that again. Start it off from scratch, and build it back up again. And it's a reset, right? We've talked about resets before in the past that allow us to go back to what's worked. Sometimes we get too complacent in what we're doing currently today. We build a comfort level with certain, habits and things like that. Sometimes it's time to break those habits, even if they may be ones that work for us, and kind of restart again and build new habits again as we go through it. That's kind of the evolution of learning and getting better with what you do and kind of refining your skills. And, those are the things that'll make you successful going into 2025 and having a good year, with your health, fitness journey and mental health and everything else that goes along with that. So,
plus, if you want to burn some calories, go and join David Airsoft.
Join David Airsoft anytime. I'll say hi to you. There's a lot of folks there that are in cybersecurity that play as well. So it's great to have folks, in different areas and meet new friends and folks and things like that. It's been great. But find that kind of community. It's a great community of people, great folks that are there. And I enjoy going there and seeing everybody. It's like, again, it's kind of like the Hacking Your Health community. People that are like-minded, that are good folks, that are doing good things, and you get to go, have fun together and play together, just like the meetups that we have and everything else. It's those types of things that make a big difference in consistency, and because you have other friends or family or people that are invested in the same type of thing that you are, it creates that type of synergy there. So, with that's this week's podcast.
We will record a podcast in 2 days' time and see how we're getting on with the fast. See what our energy levels are like. Could be through the roof, which I think would be funny.
That'd be cool.
Cool. Right. See you next week.
Later, Rodway. See ya.